Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us in this advanced webinar series. My name is Anjana Mahesh and my colleague Naveen Kumar are here, who is product expert, and we will be your host for today. Our webinar session will be very beneficial on how to interact seamlessly with your teammates and clients who have unexpectedly found themselves managing business remotely in this period of uncertainty. If you have any questions during the webinar, feel free to ask them through the chat box and you will see on your screen and we will answer them. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and the recording will be shared with you shortly. Without any further setback, let me dive into the session. Let's take a look at a quick agenda of today's webinar session. I'm going to talk about our Zoho company. I'm going to give you an overview of Zoho remotely, and then the most important part of our webinar session, our product expert will walk through the collaboration tool projects. We will also be sharing a few important knowledge-based user guide links. And finally, we will dive into a question and answer session. Zoho. We have been in the market for over 20 plus years, building software for the small and medium industry, and having our presence in more than 190 plus countries with more than 40 plus applications to run your entire business from end to end. We have around 50 plus million users of the globe who trust us and run their companies on using Zoho application. Not just that, we are over 8,000 plus employees, and we believe Zoho runs on Zoho. Zoho's application ecosystem has a customizable operating system for business which combines dozens of cloud-based applications with a centralized IT admin panel. Cloud remotely. Zoho Remotely, a suite of applications that help you to communicate, collaborate, and provide remote support and access were put together in under a week, while over 90% of our workforces work from their homes around the world. And we would also like to share these experiences with businesses trying to keep going during the pandemic. At Zoho, we value your privacy. We never have and never will own your data. Your data is safe in our own data center, and we do not sell your data to the third parties. Zoho is a GDPR compliant, and we never host advertisements even in our free version of products. Let's take a look at the product overview. Effective team collaboration is the biggest challenge today, as almost all of us are stuck in our houses with no means to meet our colleagues or customers face-to-face and discuss ideas or issues. Trying to communicate only through emails or text messages is difficult, and often the intended message is not delivered. Considering all these factors, Zoho Remotely is delivered as a suite of 11 carefully crafted applications which fall into 4 categories: communication, collaboration, remote access, and productivity. Now let's look at Zoho Remotely, starting with the user home. The screen that you see now is the user home. Applications that are added by or signed to a user can be accessed from the user home. In this image, all of the 11 applications have been added. Click, Meetings, and Showtime are categorized as the communication tools. Work Drive, Project Sprints can help with effective collaboration. Assist and Lens are our remote support and access tools. Zoho Writer, the powerful word processor, Sheet to create and manage spreadsheets, and Show for creating presentations and productivity tools. The right header of the user home screen has an access button that takes you to the admin panel. Jumping into today's topic is going to be on hybrid project management. In project management, some teams set clear milestones and follow a classical approach of completing their task sequences. By using the hybrid methodology, this brings your classical and agile teams together to collaborate on your hybrid project. Now, without any setback, let's jump into the main part of this webinar session.
Zoho Projects is an online project management tool which helps you run your business online with ease. With Zoho Projects, you can plan your project, track its progress, and collaborate with your team to get things done efficiently. With over 3 million users, Zoho Projects is already being used across various business verticals. From software development to construction companies, marketing agencies to recruiting agencies have successfully completed many of their projects using Zoho Projects. In this webinar, we are going to talk about a few key features of Zoho Projects and project management in general. Let's start by creating a new portal from scratch and see how to set things up. A new projects portal always comes with a demo project with some data to let you play around and get a feel of how things work. But let's start by creating a new project from scratch and see how easy it is to set up a Gantt chart, which is what we are going to talk about next. To create a new project, all you would need is a name, a start date, and an end date. To begin with, you will need to understand the hierarchy deployed in projects. Let's talk about that real quick and then take it forward from there. Your work items and goals can be structured into milestones, task lists, tasks, and subtasks. A group of subtasks together form a task. A group of tasks together form a task list. And a group of task lists together form a milestone. Which means when you complete a group of subtasks, you're completing a task. When you complete a group of tasks, you're completing a task list. And similarly, when you complete a group of task lists, you're completing a milestone. Milestones can be considered as progress trackers or short-term goals in the bigger picture. The definition of this largely varies from business to business. And task lists can be considered as to-do lists, which consists of all your tasks and subtasks. Now let's add a few milestones, task lists, tasks, and subtasks to get some data to generate a Gantt chart. So this is how a Gantt chart looks. A Gantt chart is a commonly used feature in Zoho projects and project management in general. It is one of the most popular and useful ways of showing your tasks or events displayed against time. On the left of the chart, you would see a list of activities, and along the top is a suitable timescale. Each activity is represented by a bar. The position and the length of the bar reflects the start date, duration, and the end date of activities. This allows you to view at a glance what the various activities are, when each activity begins and ends, how long each activity is scheduled to last, where activities overlap with other activities and by how much, and the start and the end date of the whole project. The red bar represent milestones, the gray one represent task lists, the blue and green ones represent tasks and subtasks respectively. There is also a dependency that you could use, which is called the finish to start dependency, which means the dependent task cannot begin until the parent task is finished. For instance, in a journal publishing process, the self-review of a journal cannot begin until the draft is complete by the writer. So to add this dependency, all you would need to do is click your mouse pointer and drag it from one task to another, and this would add the dependency. This means subtask 2 cannot begin until task 1 is complete, which is the finish to start dependency. You have options right here to make changes to your tasks. You do not have to go back to your task list page to change the start or the end dates of tasks or rearrange them. All you need to do is click on a task that you want to change and drag it to a different timeline. And you also have options to add new tasks or subtasks directly from your Gantt chart. Click on Add Task here, give it a name, select the start date and end date and the owner, and you're done. So the new task is generated over here. Now let's move to one of my demo accounts which has a lot of data so I could show you how Gantt charts look in real time after you add all your work items to them. So this Gantt chart is a construction company's Gantt chart. It has all the work items listed on the left and the top is a suitable timescale. As you could see, you have all the bars listed over here. The tasks, milestones, task lists, and subtasks. And you also see the dependencies. If you look closely, you would observe that all activities are given two shades, a darker one and a lighter one. The darker one represents the percentage of completion of that activity. For example, if you look at demolition, it says it's complete by 50%, which is why 50% of this bar is dark and the other 50% is in a lighter shade. If you prefer to view more details of each task that's listed here, all you need to do is click on this bar, drag it to the left, and you would see all tabulations of all data related to each task that's displayed on the Gantt chart. You would see the status, the owner, the duration, start dates and end date, and if it's completed, the completion date, a priority, a tag, and your cost variance, your planned versus actual, the budgeting. We offer two kinds of Gantt views, Milestone Gantt and the Chronology Gantt. Milestone Gantt is what you're looking at right now. In a Milestone Gantt, milestones, task lists, tasks and subtasks are displayed based on their hierarchy in the project. Whereas in a Chronology Gantt, Gantt bars are displayed based on the order of the start and end date of the project, which means your milestones and task lists would be completely neglected and all tasks and subtasks would be arranged chronologically to give you a view of when the project starts and when it ends. Next, we are going to talk about resource utilization reports, time tracking, and integration with Zoho Invoice. The resource utilization reports are great for managers when allocating tasks to others. It gives you a view of how balanced your team's work hours and free hours are. Our CSAR design helps you to view at a glance if someone is fully occupied, has time to spare, or is overloaded. This helps you to easily split work amongst your team and maintain a balance. If you look at the chart, you would see three different colors. One is green, which means that the person has time to spare. One is blue, which means that the person is fully occupied and cannot take up additional work. And the other one is red, which of course means that the person is overloaded. This view not only helps managers understand how occupied their team members are, but also to reassign work to someone else if someone is overloaded. So if you look at Sharon, she is fully occupied throughout the week and does not have any spare time to take up additional work. And Stephen has a lot of spare time and can take up additional work, whereas Steve is working on 3 different tasks and is overloaded. So if you decide to move one task from Steve to someone else to ease some work, it could be done directly from here. Click on the tasks, select the task that you want to reassign, and drag it to the other person. Now both Steve and Stephen's work hours are balanced. Stephen is fully occupied throughout the week, and Steve now has some time to spare while he's still working on 2 other tasks. In large organizations where you handle a lot of users and a lot of tasks, scrolling through a huge list of users to find out which one is occupied and which one has time to spare might be a bit difficult, which is why the filter feature would be very helpful for you. You could filter the users based on their roles, their allocation type, or even their team, so that you could sort the list and plan your work. You also have an option to convert this as a PDF and share it with your team if you prefer to work that way. With everyone working from home these days, keeping a track of the time you spend working when you're at home has never been more important. With projects, you get an option to keep track of every minute you work on every single task that you're assigned to. Every time you start working on a task, you can start the timer here and end it after your work is done. We also have a global timer that you could use, which when you're working on multiple tasks and you're done for the day, you could close them all directly from here. And this will automatically log the total number of hours you have spent working on the task and would calculate the billable hours. And with our integration with Zoho Invoice, an invoice can be automatically generated and sent to your clients based on the completion of milestones or on a weekly or a monthly basis, based on your billing agreement. Integration with Zoho Meetings is next on the list. This integration lets you conduct instant online meetings with your team members to collaborate on tasks related to a project. With this integration, you can invite participants and initiate meetings quickly without leaving Zoho projects. To do this, all you need to do is click on the Zoho meeting icon and select the ones that you want to call for the meeting and send them an invite by clicking on invite. Documents is an important feature of Zoho projects. It is a repository of all files that you upload to your project. So every file that you upload to a task or a task list would be collected and stored here for everyone to access. But the most interesting part is you could create new files directly from here. With our integration with Zoho Writer, Sheets, and Show, which are also part of the Remotely suite, you can not only upload documents from there, but you could create new documents and directly upload them to here. All you need to do is select the type of document that you want to create, click on it, give it a name, fill the document with the content you need, and it should be saved automatically in your repository inside Zoho projects. Next is Zoho Sprints. Zoho Sprints is an agile project management solution designed to help agile teams working in iterations and increments to deliver their project on time. Both projects and sprints follow different methodologies. While projects follow the conventional waterfall method, sprints follow agile. And sprints is a tool that is predominantly used by development teams. In large organizations, where different teams prefer a different approach towards their work, using multiple tools can make things complicated, which is why we came up with a tight integration between projects and sprints. With this integration, you can manage your backlogs and run sprints from Zoho projects, collaborate on tasks with a two-way sync your timesheets across projects and sprints, and access Agile reports from projects. Now, to enable the integration of Zoho projects and sprints, you'd have to click on Setup on Zoho projects, click on Zoho under Marketplace, and click on Configure under Zoho Sprints, and select the portal that you want to map this to, and click on Map Portal. So when you have a project both in projects and sprints, the sprints icon over here helps you to identify which of your projects are in both projects and sprints. The idea behind this is to let your development teams work in the agile method where they deliver their projects, working on iterations and increments, and managers could still stick to Zoho projects and view everything directly from here. So after you enable the integration between Zoho projects and sprints, and when you try to create a new project in Zoho projects, you'd always be asked the option to add it to Zoho Sprints. And if you choose to add the project to sprints, it would be directly added on both projects and sprints as well. Just like when you're creating a new project, when you're creating a new task, you'd be given an option to add it to sprints as well, or keep it exclusively for projects. Let's create a new task, naming it both places just so that we could identify it later and see how it works. Let's click on Save and Add it to Zoho Sprints. Select the mandatory and default fields and click on Add. Now this task is created in projects. To view this in sprints, all you need to do is click on the sprints icon and it will directly take you there. As you can see, the task is now created here as well. And on the sprints view, you would have a Zoho projects detail section, which gives you all the mandatory and default fields of Zoho projects. And similarly, when you go back to Zoho projects, you would have a default and mandatory field section for Zoho Sprints as well. These are the mandatory fields that are always default for a project. Now let's see how the two-way sync works. When someone comments on a task on Zoho projects, the comment would be automatically updated on sprints. And when it's a comment from projects, it would have the label of Zoho projects on it when you view it from sprints. And similarly, when someone chooses to reply to a comment from sprints, the same would be added to projects with the tagline of Zoho Sprints. The same goes for attachments as well. This helps managers and development teams stick to different projects but communicate together. There's a separate section for Zoho Sprints on Zoho projects. When you click on Zoho Sprints, you would have options to view all the running sprints and backlogs directly from projects without having to move back to sprints. This helps managers to view what's happening and also create new work items if needed. And just like in Zoho projects, you could fill in the timesheet from sprints and the same would be calculated and be used under your billable hours in Zoho projects when an invoice is being sent. This integration also helps you to view all Agile reports on Zoho projects. So every report that you have on sprints could be viewed directly from here. You also have options to view your status timeline, which lets you understand how long it took for each work item to move from one status to another. I hope this demo helped. Thank you.